But the next question is, what does a high-performing team actually look like? And this is the third secret, something I call dynamic subordination. When I was just out of the Navy and I was in front of a group of executives, I had a whiteboard next to me, and they said, Rich, could you please draw for us what the task organization looks like for a high-performing team, like a SEAL team? And frankly, I was stumped when they asked me this, because I had some models in my head, but none of the models matched. And the first model was, of course, this normal hierarchical pyramid that we all know, where the leader sits on top and the word flows down, and then if it has to go up again. Very slow, very hierarchical, really obviously not how a high-performing team operates, okay? So that was out. I had the flat model. Someone basically, a mild rebellion to the pyramid, they flattened the line. They said, hey, no one outranks anybody. We all work together. We're all in this together. It's all cool. Okay, not too bad. The problem with the flat model is sometimes you actually don't know who's in charge. And the other problem with the flat model is something can be done or decided upon on the right side of that line that is not seen by the left, because it can get siloed because it's flat. In a high-performing team, information is constant and transparent, and it's everywhere at all times. So the flat line didn't work. Then we had the upside-down pyramid. This is Robert Greenleaf's servant leadership model, where he said, we're going to flip this pyramid upside down. The leader sits on the bottom. The leader serves all of those in his or her span of care. It's actually quite beautiful. Philosophically, if we needed to land on anyone, we should land on this one. The problem is it still doesn't talk about how a high-performing team operates, because in a high-performing team, burden is distributed. It's not just all on one person. So largely really in frustration, I drew a blob. And I said to the group, I said, where do you think the leader sits in this blob? And I got answers like, middle, front, back, top, bottom. I said, all of you are correct. In this environment, the leader is wherever the leader needs to be in the moment. Because in a dynamic subordinating team, the team understands that challenges, problems, and issues can come from any angle at any moment. And when one does, the person who is closest to that problem and the most capable immediately steps up and takes charge, and everybody follows. And then the environment swaps again, and someone else steps up and takes charge, and everybody follows. It's a dynamic swap between leader and follower relationships. I also call it alpha swapping, where that alpha position hops to wherever it needs to be. This is, in fact, how high-performing teams operate. Obviously, how SEAL teams operate. Just because I was the officer in charge of all of my missions didn't mean everybody was always in support of me. In fact, it was usually the opposite. I was usually in support of the snipers and the operator or the assaulters and the breachers, whatever that was. It constantly hopped. A civilian example of this that we can kind of wrap our heads around would be the commercial airliner. All right, none of us will debate the fact that the captain of that airplane is in charge. That's non-negotiable, non-debatable. However, if upon taxi out to takeoff, that captain gets a call from the maintenance guy, and the maintenance guy says, hey, I found a problem, you need to turn around, no captain worth their wings is going to ignore that call. They are going to immediately subordinate to that maintenance guy, turn that plane around, and go back to the gate. And then they're going to figure out, okay, we got to get the passengers off to fix this plane. Captain doesn't step up and take charge of that either. Flight attendant steps up, takes charge of it. This is a simple example of dynamic subordination in action. To create a dynamic subordination environment involves some specific things. All the attributes I talked about, but also being a great teammate. Being a great teammate is like being a leader. You don't get to decide whether or not you're a great teammate. Your teammates decide whether or not you're a great teammate based on how you behave with them. And the attributes that stem from them are integrity, do the right thing, as defined, however it's defined by that team, conscientiousness, humility, and humor.